Hello, my name is Michael Watkins. Here to share a little bit of my practice with Buddhism as a religion, Buddhism as just a little bit of history of Buddhism, as well as the basic foundation, the teachings, the core teachings of Buddhism. So historically, there was a young prince named Siddhartha who, when he was born, his father was told by a wise sage that he was either going to become a ruler just like him, a king one day, or he was going to become a wise wandering monk or ascetic or sage. And so his father, not really liking that idea, decided that he's like, I'm going to keep my son inside the palace walls, and I'm going to offer him all the worldly things that he could ever, imagine, all the food, all the worldly pleasures. And as Siddhartha grew up, having everything right there for him, everyone waiting on him hand and foot, he still wasn't happy. Still wasn't what he was looking for. And then as he got older, he was able to, the story goes that he left the palace with his attendant, and he saw four things. He saw an elderly person who he had never seen before and asked, who is this? What is wrong with this man? And his attendant said, well, he's aging. He's an older person. He's an elderly person. We all age. And it's going to happen no matter what. Then he saw a sick person. And same question, what is wrong with them? And his attendant said, well, we all are in the nature to get sick. At some point we all get sick. And then he saw a dead body. And same question, well, what happened here? And his attendant said, well, we all die. That's a part of life. We all age, we all get sick, and we all eventually will die. And then shortly after that, right around that same moment, he saw a wandering, they're called ascetics, who have renounced the worldly life. They've renounced the world and gone off to seek enlightenment. And he sees this person, and they seemed happy, and it was totally drawn to this way of life. And so at 29 years old, so the story goes, he was recently married with a young son, and he left his entire kingdom and left his family and said, I'm going to find the answer to end suffering. I'm going to find the answer to what true happiness is. And so it took him about 7 years, and he worked with different teachers. He would master what the teacher was sharing, and to the same level as that teacher. And from there, it was like, well, there's still got to be more to this. So from there, he went on to the next teacher. Eventually, right before his enlightenment, the practice he was doing, he had 5 wanderers with him, and they were called extreme, or renunciates. They practiced self-mortification, extreme renunciation. The story says that he was eating like 1 grain of rice a day and 1 thimbleful of food. And he realized, you know what, I'm still suffering here. And I am going to die. This isn't it. He's like, I'm not happy. I had everything in the world that the world could offer, and I wasn't happy. And now I'm completely renouncing all that, and I'm not happy as well. And so knowing that he was sick, he was brought some food, and he decided to drink some water, and he started to eat. And these 5 ascetics, these 5 wandering monks that were with him said, he threw in the towel, he's not the one. So they left him. And as he regained his strength, he sat under this tree, the Bodhi tree, and he thought to himself, I remember when I was a child focusing on my breath, and he developed some deep concentration. And he's like, I'm going to sit here and focus on my breath. And the story says he touched the earth and said, may the earth be my witness. I'm going to sit here until I become enlightened. There are also other stories of where this demon Mara, who can be considered these psychological states of mind, came and attacked him and said, who are you? You're not the one. Trying to trick him up with some doubt. And he sent his daughters to him to tempt him with lust. And then the story goes, he attacked with his armies in every single way possible, in all these different psychological states. But that's where the story says also that the Buddha touched the earth and said, "May the earth be my witness. I'm going to sit here until I become enlightened." And then the story goes that he had cultivated such a pure and positive and compassionate life that Mother Earth came from out of the ground. She wrung her hair out and flooded Mara's army and defeated Mara. And then the Buddha sat there, and eventually it came to him through this mindfulness of breathing. He came up with the Four Noble Truths. The first truth being that there is suffering. Suffering known as dukkha, which can be considered also discontent, dissatisfaction. It's not the thought that life is suffering or I am suffering, but there is suffering is what he said. And the second noble truth is there is a cause of suffering, and that cause is upadana, attachment to desire, and attachment to aversion, or becoming. So in a sense, it's wanting things to stay how they are, or the aversion of wanting things to be other than how they are, and also the sense of becoming that I won't be happy until I get. A total lack of contentment. The third noble truth, there is an end to suffering. It's kind of like good news. There is an end to this suffering. And the fourth noble truth is by following the Eightfold Path. There is a path to the end of suffering that leads to the end of suffering, and that is the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path being right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Right understanding being a complete knowing of the Four Noble Truths and how they work. A complete knowing of the upadana, the attachment that causes suffering, and being able to uproot it. A complete knowing that if I follow this path with diligence and effort and kindness and an open heart, that I can end the suffering in my life. Right intention ties right in with it in the sense of setting the intention to act with loving kindness and discernment, with wisdom. Right speech, no false speech, no harsh speech, no divisive speech, and being true to our word, being sincere. Right action follows the 5 precepts of non-harming, non-stealing, no sexual misconduct. There's also right speech again, practicing right speech, sincere speech, honest speech, and also to refrain from intoxicants that will cloud the mind and lead us or lead anyone to do any of these things. Then we have right livelihood. It's finding a way of life as far as employment that doesn't cause harm to others. So back then it was by not selling guns, not selling poisons, not selling people, and those still apply today as well. But finding a source of income where I'm not causing harm to any living being or any being. Then we have right effort. Right effort being setting the intention again to cultivate wholesome thoughts, wholesome actions, and to abandon any unwholesome actions and unwholesome thoughts. And then right mindfulness is practicing the observing, paying attention with an open heart. And then right concentration is to develop and deepen our practice of meditation through concentration. The Eightfold Path has also been categorized into 3 sections: right understanding and right intention, being panya, being the wisdom section of the Eightfold Path; right speech, right action, and right livelihood being the ethical aspect, the sila as it's known in Pali; and then right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration being the samadhi, or the mindfulness aspect. So when you got the three, traditionally the way it's taught is sila, samadhi, panya. So teaching ethical behavior. In Buddhist countries, young children, they're taught to follow these five precepts. And then they develop their meditation practice. And from there, the wisdom arises. And so this Eightfold Path, it's non-linear. It's something that we try to cultivate, every aspect of it. Sometimes we are, obviously with meditation, we can develop a better understanding of non-harming. And then there's the wisdom that arises, and the open-heartedness and the compassion that arises from that as well. So, well, I want to thank you for your time, and I hope that my little short comments on the history of the Buddha, the Four Noble Truths, and the Eightfold Path have been very helpful for you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.